Hello, and welcome back to the next episode of the Aerial Outsider Podcast. I'm your host, Kyle, and this is a podcast where we talk about drones, NASCAR, basketball, and football. So let's get into it. Austin Dillon wins at Richmond International Raceway. So that is the headlines coming out of the NASCAR Cup Series race this past weekend, or this Saturday night. Austin Dillon wins it cleanly. He does it without any controversy, unlike last year. He didn't have to spin Joey Logano into turn 3 and then hook Denny Hamlin into the wall coming out of 4 just to win the race, but then have his playoff eligibility yanked by NASCAR. He does it cleanly. He gets the playoff berth that he could have had last year, but didn't, which is a good win for Richard Childress Racing. They at least get one car into the playoffs. We'll see about next week at Daytona. But he managed the tire wear. He led 107 laps, and he did it cleanly, which is what we like to see. He actually battled Ryan Blaney for a good number of laps, 10 to 15 laps side by side, and what else could he want for? What else do you want? This was a good race. That was a good battle. He passed him cleanly. Never once did he really touch him, which is a good thing in the NASCAR world. Now with that, since Austin Dillon won, he's in the playoffs. Now that only leaves 2 spots left in points. So that means Tyler Reddick is roughly he's 29 points ahead of Alex Bowman. Alex Bowman is 60 points above the cutoff line. But really, mathematically, in an entire race, you could earn a maximum of 61 points. So really, if nobody else wins that is new, Alex Bowman and Tyler Reddick will point their way into the playoffs without any problem at all. So unless there's a new winner, which there's a good chance that there could be, then Alex Bowman or Tyler Reddick could be on the outside looking in, depending on how the race goes next week at Daytona. So I wanted to highlight another struggle that another team had this weekend, Team Penske. Normally, they're really good on the short, flat ovals that NASCAR has every year, which is one of the reasons why they have won 3 straight championships, 2 of them with Joey Logano, 1 with Ryan Blaney, and that is also the reason why they're so good at Phoenix International Raceway, which, by the way, the championship race is moving back to Homestead Miami Speedway after about 5-6 years of being at Phoenix. But this is a huge takeaway from today's race, or Saturday's race, is that Penske was not as strong as they were in the years past at Richmond. And then you look at Gateway, which is in St. Louis, you look at New Hampshire, you look at Phoenix. It seems like the field has caught up to them a little bit. This could be concerning, but however, they did put 3 of their 3 cars in the top 5. But I'm going to count the Wood Brothers car here in the Penske organization as they're heavily aligned with Penske. So 3 Penske cars in the top 5. The Wood Brothers car came in 8th. So with that being said, placing 4 cars in the top 8, still a good result, but they just seem to be off during the race. They did lead some laps, but it didn't seem like they were quite there, which could be concerning going into the playoffs, depending on who performs well where. That could depend on if they move on or if they're a threat for the championship. So, and then the next thing is that I wanted to cover is the fact that this race had 3 and 4 wide a lot of times going into turn ones on a restart, coming out of turn 4, which I cannot think of a better way of how you would want it. But that's the product of the Gen 7 car. You'll go back to, say, 2007, 2008, back when the COT was in style, back on the track, back when Jimmy Johnson, Kevin Harvick, Tony Stewart, Jeff Gordon, when they were all racing, you only had about 3 wide going into a corner on a restart. This is just a product of the cars being so to spec. Everybody pretty much has the same car. And I think after hearing Denny Hamlin on the front stretch interview, he said all the cars are within 0.3 of a second of each other. That's not enough to pass, which he is totally right, because when the Gen 7 car first came into NASCAR, when they first started running it, the field was maybe separated by about 0.7 of a second. You need that 3 or 4 tenths to come up on somebody and try to pass them, which kind of what the Xfinity series has. But with the Gen 7 car, everybody's so tight on speed right now is that you can't pass. That's one of the reasons. And to be honest, I think Denny Hamlin has it pretty correct. He's a over 20-year veteran of the Cup Series, and I think NASCAR should take him seriously about they should do something to fix the car so that you have more 2-wide racing, more passing. I get it. Yes, you want the exciting finishes, but if you don't have the passing, you can't get that. You can't just not have any passing except for the very end. And you can't have it where pit strategy determines the race without any passing, if that makes sense. So unless NASCAR can come up with a fix, these tracks that are hard to pass on might be a little bit harder since everybody is so close on the times. So I just wanted to highlight that normally you don't see the 4 wide at Richmond, but because of how the car is, you saw it on all the restarts by watching the highlights and watching the races, which made for some exciting racing. But also too, it also created the big one, which took out a lot of the field. Actually, probably looked like the back half of the field, but that's what you get when you're all bunched up into 3 or 4 wide racing on a short track. One car goes, sideways and it collects half the field. So I guess that's a product of that type of racing, and we shall see if that continues or not. But from my final thoughts here on the Richmond race review, Austin Dillon's win wasn't just a victory, it was a statement. I think he basically said, you know what, I can come back here and win dominantly, win just like I did last year, and do it cleanly. And I think Penske, they need to take a look at what they're doing because the playoffs are in a couple weeks. I think they need to get back on track so that they can start in the playoffs with a full head of steam. Yes, I'm a Hendrick Motorsports fan, but I do believe that, everybody has their struggles and everybody has their high points. Maybe I don't know if this is just Penske trying to figure some stuff out for maybe the championship run that they're going to do in the next 10 weeks, but we will see. And then the 4-wide racing wasn't just thrilling, but it's also a symptom of the car that still needs to work. And I think NASCAR needs a few things to work on the car to make it better, make the racing product better. And I think that they should listen to drivers like Denny Hamlin, Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott, just to name a few, who are very good in the sport, very talented and racing for the championship, or heavy hitters for the championship. So I think that's what NASCAR needs to do to make the racing product better. We have had some rumors that there might be an all-star race at Dover International Raceway in the next few years. We will see if that happens. And then the schedule for 2026 is almost out. It'll come out probably in the late August, maybe September. So we might do an episode covering that as well. But until then, stay safe. Thank you again for listening. Go like my Facebook page, Ariel Outsider Podcast on Facebook. Comment on some of the episodes. Please like and share. And I appreciate your support, and we'll see you in the next episode.